Welcome back to the Ohio SBDC Progress Not Panic 2020 video series. I'm your host Kevin Hammond of the Ohio SBDC at Columbus State Community College. Happy to be here. Glad you guys are all here. Looking forward to talking to you again today. In today's video, I will be showing you some of the best free market research tools out there. And also in today's video, I'm going to focus primarily on secondary market research, not primary market research. Primary market research is that you get by directly engaging with your customers, typically through market surveys and so forth. So for today, we're going to focus on the secondary market research, which is data that's already out there and available for you to find. And you may be wondering, why should I perform market research? Why might that be important? Whether you're an existing small business or are just getting your business started, performing effective market research is going to help you gain insight into the market factors and trends in order to make the best decisions moving forward. Market research is essentially the action of collecting information about customers' needs and habits and benchmarking that, comparing that against that of indirect competition as well as your direct competition in the marketplace. There are several reasons why a small business would want to perform market research. For example, market research can help uncover problems your potential customers may be experiencing, and the use of that insight may help to show how your product or service could be a solution to these problems in both your strategic and your promotional tactics. Market research also guides small businesses to create offerings that either fill a void or deliver an improved value than what's already available in the marketplace. I do want to mention that the Columbus Library is a great place to do market research. And if you have a Columbus Library card already, you can do all of this research already online. I'm guessing that in other metropolitan areas, you have great libraries as well, where you can get pretty much the same tools. So if you're not in the metro area of Columbus, just check with your local libraries, metro libraries. I know a lot of them are closed down, but if you have library cards, should be able to access the stuff online, I'm guessing. So now what I want to jump right into is showing you some of these best market research tools that are out there. And by the way, you can click on the link below in this video to get access to the resource with our best favorite research sources there. So the first tool I'm going to talk about deals with demographics. Demographics can be really useful for looking at who your customer could be, who your customer is, looking at areas you could go into across your communities, across the state, potentially beyond. Demographics essentially tells you ages, family size, household income, those types of things. It's essentially the hard data. Before I begin this conversation here, I want to make sure I point out, as I mentioned previously, the Columbus Library website. Again, having a library card is going to be really key for you, and likely your communities, if you're outside of the Columbus metro area, will have libraries that likely have these same sources. So I just want to give you a glimpse of what the Columbus Library website looks like. Once you get there, you're logged on. You want to go to the research tab, which we're already there, and we're going to scroll down and look for our first tool we're going to look at for demographics, which is Demographics Now. So when we click on that, it's going to take us right here to the Demographics Now webpage. This is a great tool. They had a tool previously that they used, which was good as well, but I really find that this Demographics Now tool is really a fantastic tool, and I think you'll find it really helpful for your business as you look to explore potentially new markets, markets to get into, really trying to solidify who your customer could be. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Demographics tab. I'm going to click on that. So you'll notice at the top you can put in all kinds of different things: zip codes, cities, even just an address, county, state. You can go pretty far with the data. I want to go with a zip code, so I'm going to type in 43085 for kind of Worthington, Columbus area, just used as an example. So we got that location set. So that means that once we got that location set, all the data that we start pulling off on the different reports is going to be based upon that. If we can always go back in there and put in a different zip code, we can put in 43015, we can put in whatever it might be. We can also put in Franklin County, Delaware County, whichever county you might be in. Can also put the whole state of Ohio if we wanted to put in there. So again, we're going to stick with the 43085. Going to click on that. We got the location set. So when we get in here, we have some choices of types of reports that we could go after. Could be a comparison, could be a rank, could be a summary. I find that the summaries are most helpful for me and my clients. So what we're going to do, I'm going to click on the summary there. Then we have a drop down over here for the report name. Again, we got lots of choices, and that's great. Lots of different choices. The one that I tend to like the most out of all of these is going to be the complete demographic summary report. And again, these are all good, but I find that pretty much pulls in most everything else in here. So we're going to click on that. We're going to go run report. And the cool thing is this all kind of stays on one page. Now it does allow you to download it right here, which this would allow a pop-up box to show up and allows you to save it in any format, PDF, a doc, whatever it might be, to your Google Drive. We're not going to do that right now. So when we click on that run report, what we find here is a lot of great data. Not only some past data, current data, but also, which is important, projected data. So if we're looking at going into an area, focusing on a certain area of town for our business, of the communities that we are in, the projections matter. So we can look at these different things here. So it's going to show you things like population density, how many households are there, gender demographics, things related to race and so forth. Down here, it even breaks down the different ages. So if you're looking at a business that maybe needs, more kids than maybe an average area, more young folks, you may have to look at an area that, has a higher population of young people. So we can keep on going down here. So it breaks down household income for all these different areas. So it shows how many different households there are, for each different type of income. And again, it shows, pretty much current, and it's going to show the forecasted as well. Again, that's big. We can also look over here in the percentage of change. Ideally, we want to make sure we see some areas that are growing. That's going to be key, making sure we're going into an area that is going to project it to grow and not decline. So I'm going to keep on going down here. It's going to show different types of employment, if they're blue collar, if they're white collar. If you're in a business that may be serving the military, that that could be important too. So all different types of employment data there. Got some housing data here. Even talks about vehicles. It's going to talk about if they're married, if they're more single folks, those types of things there. And then the educational attainment. So again, you got to think if your products or services are going to be geared to those that maybe have a higher income or might have a higher level of a degree, this could be important, and vice versa. There's all kinds of great businesses that serve our whole entire community. So let's just trying to figure out for you what type of these statistics do you need that's going to work out for you. So I'm going to go back here. There's a whole lot on this website here with demographics now. I'm going to pull up one more here before we move on. Let's see. So there's one on the consumer expenditure summary report. There it is right there. And let's run this report here. So a consumer expenditure is essentially how much are consumers spending on certain categories. Again, we're looking at 2019 as essentially current. We don't quite have 2020 data yet, although the census is out, and I know we're all actively filling out our information, which is a good thing. And it's going to, again, show the projected amount of spending in certain categories. So it breaks down different categories here: apparel and services, education, entertainment, food, all different kinds of things here. So I really like this Demographics Now tool. You can really find out a lot of great stuff in here. There's lots of different reports. It's really trying to play around and see what fits you based upon kind of business you have, kind of data you need to get back. And again, it's one of those tools where it's really user friendly, and it's the more you use it, the better, the more you're going to get out of it. So highly encouraged for you folks looking for demographic information to use this Demographics Now tool. There are other demographic tools out there. The census on their webpage has some great data there as well. So that covers the demographics tool. So the next tool I'm going to talk about deals with looking at psychographics. So psychographics sounds like a strange word if you haven't heard it before, but what psychographics is it's essentially the soft data. It's things like their attitudes, their values, their activities. Essentially, you're discovering consumer data trends, market segments within communities. So I'm on the psychographic tool that is my favorite, which is the ESRI tool. And these are all free tools, and this is the tapestry. So this one here is zip code based. So let's just keep with our 43085 theme here. And typically I'm just going to pick the two that it defaults as, because essentially you can pick any of these two and you have access to all the other ones anyway. So I recommend just picking the two defaults. Let's see the results that we get here. All right, so the information here is loading up, and it really has a kind of a real slick dashboard here. Kind of like the way they display this data. Now this will also give demographic data as well as the psychographic data. So it's a great way to complement the demographic data that you've gotten through whatever source, whether it's Demographics Now or something else. So first I want to go over here just to show you the demographic data, and then I'm going to go over here to the tapestry, which really dives into what I think is really cool about this resource here for psychographics. But first, let's go over here. So when it looks at median income, population density, median age, what it's doing is it's going to benchmark whatever zip code you put in there with the county that it's in, as well as the state as a whole. So it's going to show, for this example here, the income for 43085 is both higher than the county as a whole and the state as a whole. Now, I mentioned before that you can have access to all those other data points that were on the starting screen. And essentially all that is you drop down here and you just start picking whatever you want to see. What's the monthly credit card charges in that area? Again, benchmark with other areas. There's other options here. How much are they into online banking? That could give you an idea if you're doing some type of an app or so forth that would need some maybe more tech savvy folks than average. So we'll click on that and we find out that about half the population of 43085 is doing online banking. And there's other things you can choose here. One I like here, financial optimists. So pretty much not zip code versus county versus state. We can look at degrees. We can look at the manufacturing workforce. Lots of different things. Yeah, and these things also pop out too, which is really cool. So we can read more there. We can scroll down. So for each one of these categories we choose, it will kind of explain what that, the financial optimism, what that means, what they're kind of thinking about that. So, and again, all these other ones here pretty much have the same categories. So once you pick the three, you can just use one to kind of look at different ones. So I mentioned the part that I like about this the most, which is the tapestry. So when we're looking at this zip code, again, we picked the 43085. It's kind of a Worthington, Columbus zip code. That's kind of close to each other. And the tapestries for whatever zip code you put in are going to give you three kind of category of tapestries. So in this case, we have almost 25% in style, 21 or so percent as ex-urbanites, and 16.6% young and restless. So what does that mean? So we can click on this, and it's going to talk about that segment, and we'll click the read more here. So it's going to talk a little bit about that segment, what that means. So what, exactly what does in style mean? It gives a little bit of data here. We can click on this one here too. It's going to talk a little bit about that. What this button does here for all three of these, when we click for more data, that's the real cool part here. So let me show you what happens when we click on those. So first we're going to go to the in style right here, and we're going to click for more details. Going to go here, and we got young and restless is part of that. So again, this is going to give you some real nice, slick meanings of what those three categories are. We got the young and restless, we got the ex-urbanites, and we got the in style. So you can do this for any zip code that you're looking at. You can use multiple zip codes, try different ones and think based upon the area, how far people might travel, where would be most likely for you to either locate at or to begin to target that area for your services or your mobile option or whatever it is that you might have. So again, for Psychographics, I think it's a real important thing to understand that about your customer, and I think this ESRI tool is a great one. Okay, so the next market research tool that I want to show you is going to be actually the one we just went over previously, which is Demographics Now. But first I want to show you an important thing you're going to need to do to make Demographics Now, as well as a tool I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes, and that is to find what is the industry code or codes that you want to do research on, whether it be, again, for doing research on your competition or doing research on companies that you may want to go after as customers if you're a business to business type of operation. So when we get to this web page here, it's the census web page for the NAICS codes. NAICS code is essentially the classification system used to determine the different industries that are out there, and there's quite a few. So let's say, for example, we either are wanting to start a cleaning business, commercial residential cleaning business, or we already are a commercial residential cleaning business, and we want to do more research on other companies out there that are doing what we're doing. So let's say, for instance, we're going to do a query here, and let's just type in cleaning and see what comes up. So we get 122 choices here. So one little tip on this website is if you're a service, most likely you're going to be down here in the 5s and beyond. So let's look here. We should be coming up with ours. Okay, so residential cleaning, building cleaning, office cleaning, they're all the same code. So we're going to go with that 561720 number. So you can always kind of write these things down as we go to the next tool here. So we're back here at Demographics Now. Here's kind of the main page that we saw before when we were looking at doing demographics. Now we're going to click on the People and Companies tab. So let's click on that. So I've already kind of checked off here what I wanted. So when you get in here, it's going to, these are all going to be kind of collapsed like this. So you can search this in different ways. I find that the best, most thorough way to do the research for using this tool is to do the keyword search. So we already got that click there, and we wrote down our code, which is 561720. So let's click on Find Codes. And we're going to click on that, and it kind of calls it janitorial services. And let's hit search. See what we can come up with here. All right. So again, this is going to, it's zip code based. Well, actually it can be zip code, it can be city, it can be county, state. We've talked about that. In this instance, we've done the same zip code we've been using here, the Columbus Worthington zip code. So what this shows us is there's 17 different cleaning, commercial cleaning, residential cleaning companies based in 43085. So we can click on any of these. We can essentially, if we want to get a report, we can click all these, and what we can do from there. So this is going to give you a lot of data. Whole lot of data. It's gonna, it gives things like sales, how many employees they have, phone number, and so forth. Let's download this and see what we come up with. All right, and we're gonna click on that once it's loaded up. Okay. All right. So again, you can you can click on this report and use any type of way to download it. So I find Excel tends to be the best, especially for this report here. So this gives a lot of information on those companies. It's going to talk about where their address is, where they're located at, their phone number. I'm going to keep on scrolling over here. It's going to give their web site address and the contact folks within there. So for some companies they have one executive listed. For some they have two. Depending upon the industry code you put on, you may have 3, sometimes 4 different contact folks within there. So we can keep on going over here and see what other data it's going to give us. So it's going to talk about exactly what they might be in, even though they all fall on that same industry code. It's going to break it down even more thorough. So let's keep on going over here. If I can get this mouse to click over, there we go. All right. So when we get over here, oops, sorry about that. It keeps on. Yeah. All right. Got a lot of windows up here, so sometimes it makes it a little bit more of a challenge. But essentially, this is going to download all this stuff for you. It's going to show how many employees they have as well. And I mentioned it also has their sales. So some of these locations have local employees at one location, and some are bigger companies that might have employees at farther reach. Also will say when that company was founded, and it will even give you some sales. Now the sales numbers here, they use a proprietary algorithm, so these numbers are likely to be close, but they're by no means 100%, but they should be able to give you some information on the sales and so forth. So really a powerful tool here to figure out the types of companies that are there, who might have a bigger market than others. You can use this for any NAICS code, any type of business that you want to go after. So it's a really powerful tool. I hope you guys really get a chance to use this Demographics Now tool. Again, that one is through the Columbus Library. Our next tool we're going to go over today in our best free market research tools is one that's going to allow you to look at industry data and trends. This could be helpful if you are already in business and maybe looking at other industries you could go into right now, other areas you could diversify what you're going to offer into. It's also great if you're just getting started and you're trying to figure out what is going on in your industry or in the industry of your customers. So to find the industry data that we want to find today, this is a tool through the Columbus Library webpage. As I mentioned, if you are outside of the metro area of Columbus, your other libraries and other parts of our great state of Ohio and beyond probably have library tools similar to this, so you can check with them. So we're going to go, since we're already on this research page for Columbus Library, we're going to scroll down and find the tool that we're looking for to find this great industry data. And what we're looking for is the Emergent Intellect webpage. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And that's going to take us right here to this webpage here. Now, we're not quite where we need to go yet. We need to go here to get to the next part that we want to look at, which is first research. So we're going to click on that, and it takes us right here. Now, to get onto first research, it's going to want you to enter your email address, submit, and then it will take you to the next page, which is right here. So this is kind of the main screen that you can go and look at any industries that you're, again, trying to look at, find out more information about, what kind of trends are out there and so forth. Let's go with the same industry code that we were looking at before with our residential and commercial cleaning. So we got the number there. We're going to click search. And it's going to take us to right here. So essentially that code is kind of lumped in with janitorial, carpet cleaning, and so forth. So it takes us right here. So you'll notice over here to the left, lots of things you can click on and find more information about. But instead of clicking through all these, what I find is the best way to get this whole report and to find out as much as you can, let's just go with the PDF version. We're going to click on that. And what that's going to give us is the entire report for janitorial and carpet cleaning services. This is a 16-page report. So again, any industry that you're looking at, it's going to give you these reports. And it's going to give you some great data. It's going to really allow you, again, to explore opportunities you could go into, look at so you can look at multiple different things. First, what we have is just a general overview of what's going on in that industry. Then it's going to look at what's the competitive landscape. How many other competitors are there? Is it made up of lots of small companies, or is it dominated by a few within some small players mixed in? Then we can look down here and see what's the types of products and services offered within that industry. We can look at the type of technology that's being used there. Things about sustainable and so forth are in there too, especially given that it's a cleaning type of business. It's going to look at types of sales and marketing, what type of finance and regulations are associated with it, capital turnover. It's going to touch on international things, so depending upon your business, that may be more applying than others. And we'll keep on scrolling down here. So we're just on page 4, so we notice there's a whole lot of information in these reports. So it's going to look at industry growth, what's that rating. So it's kind of right in the middle there. It's not one that's super hot, but it's also not declining. So it's also going to give you some different conversation starters that you can have if you're trying to call some of these either competitors or companies you're calling to potentially target to offer your products to or services to. So we can keep on going down here through the list. So it breaks down a lot of things for you. Looks at the quarterly industry update. What's the trends? What types of challenges might they be having? And then some of the indicators associated with it. Here we have a forecast. So it's kind of looking at the future, how it may be growing or not growing depending upon what industry it's in, and then what is driving that industry, what makes it thrive or not thrive. So construction spending, if you're doing the commercial part, clearly is going to be a key driver. And then typical consumer spending for residential. So the more, the higher consumer spending is, the more you're going to see folks using that. Critical issues, critical challenges associated with that particular industry, other challenges that may be involved with that industry. So it breaks down different things, the competition, how hard it is to get into the industry and so forth. More on the industry trends down here, kind of the hot things that are going on, and what's the industry opportunities out there. So all kinds of great things that we can find with these reports. We notice we're still on page 10, so we have a lot of information down here, depending upon who we're calling within those companies to find out. Some benchmark information as well. Now this benchmark information is really key. This is one thing that I want you to pay attention to, because this is going to help you to also look at the types of margins that these industries have. And is it something worth going into as a business, or is it something you should potentially target as customers for yourself? So again, this is just one example of that report that is out there, and they have multiple reports. So I really like this tool, and I hope you get a chance to use it. Again, this is a downloadable PDF form you can save to your drive, and you can download multiple of these. So I really encourage you to use this tool for your business to help you, again, look at new industries you could go into, to evaluate whether or not it's an industry you even want to start in, as well as ones you may target for your customers. So encourage you to use that tool there for both your industry trends as well as your financial benchmarks. So I hope you enjoyed looking at some of these tools that I just went over. I hope you get a chance to look at them, kind of poke through them. They're the types of things that the more you get to use them and look around in there, the more easy it is to understand the information and the data. So hope you get a chance to look at it. It's always a smart move to stay focused on the marketplace, monitoring shifts, needs, and attitudes concerning the products or services your business is offering. Whether it's during an economic boom or during uncertain and challenging economic times like those we're experiencing right now, it's always a good thing to be looking at those things. Keeping your eyes and ears tuned to the customer problems is a key factor to the business success. I hope you have success using these market research tools. If you do, let us know by leaving a comment below. If you also have a suggestion on market research tools that you have used successfully, let us know too, so we can pass it on to our clients. Thank you again for joining today for this video. Appreciate it. You can also subscribe to our channel and leave any comments, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.